Good morning, Lagos, and thanks a lot for being a part of the show this morning. Good to be back on a Thursday morning. Freshly pressed 9 on time. I'm Ayo Mairo Ese.
I'm Valentine Ohu. Good morning.
Joining us this morning is the lady who took my seat last week, and I am back to take over. Adenike Oyetunde, morning.
Good morning.
You're
We,
What's up?
back.
we have to laugh.
What did you bring from where you went to?
Love, cheer, and positive news.
And plenty money.
We also have Funmi Odude with us. Morning.
Good morning, Ayo.
Broadcaster Ayo.
Well, good morning, broadcaster Ayo. You noticed that she didn't include it in your name.
Funmi Odude is at Funmi Odude on Twitter, and we have Ugo Dre. Morning, Ugo.
Hey, morning.
All right,
Sorry, CEO Ugodre.
CEO. Let's get to the serious stuff. I mean, life is so serious at the moment, and we have to bring a bit of cheer. This
Freshly pressed 981, nationally and internationally. Touch on Lassa fever and we'll touch on tax as well. But let's start with this story for me. Test positive as cases rise to 8 nationwide, but 4 more cases in Lagos. But take us through the story, please.
Okay, so information we have additional. We have 5 additional cases, 4 in Lagos, 1 in Ekiti State. The information that has been put forward by the federal government and the state government is that 3 of the cases are from the United States, while we have some from the UK, which includes a baby. And so there goes one of the rumors that have been going about that babies can contact the virus. Well, a lot of people had prayed that we didn't get to this point, and frankly speaking, we might have been able to avoid this if we had taken preventive measures early enough. But it's important that we move on from what we might have done to doing the important things at the moment. So I feel like I need to push that as much as possible. We try and get accurate information and not panic.
Yes.
Please, let's be responsible. If you used to retweet, repost fake news before, I think it's important to confirm sources, and especially it's very annoying when it's media outlets that you feel like panic as much as we need to contain the pandemic itself. And also, as I was asking Denike downstairs, I hope that messaging is also being the importance of messaging in local languages to
Yes.
people in the different states,
I
because
saw
we
one
have
yesterday.
this thing in Nigeria where we quickly come up with mixture of garlic and ginger and a mixture of all sorts. So we need to combat that as well. The best way to fight this thing is accurate information as much as possible. And based on the information we have, people now understand the reason why we take why the government is taking the various stance that is taking and proposing the various measures used to combat it, like social distancing, like personal hygiene, knowing what to do. So it's a time that, well, the government has to step up to the plate, but individually and collectively as a people, we also need to step up. What are private organizations doing? What are you doing if you're an employer, or even if you're an employee? What is the application going on in your office at the moment with respect to the pandemic? What is we see that the government has banned schools from, and NYSC orientation camp has also been disbanded for the moment. So, but beyond all of that, beyond what the government is doing, what are we also doing at work, at home, to prevent the spread? Now, I think the major thing that people want to understand is that the panic behind this disease is not so much the fertility rate. The fertility rate, according to what we've heard, is quite low, but it's how quickly it can spread, how contagious it is. I mean,
mortality rate?
the fertility rate of it, they say about 3% fertility rate, but 3% of 100 people is different from 3% of 1,000 people, or 3% of 5,000 people. So that is why the focus right now is preventing the spread as much as possible. So whatever direction is given, let's stop all this debate over whatever directions is given and whatever we need to do. Every single person needs to step to the plate and do it right now.
Thank you, Funmi. Adenike, please weigh in on the proactive nature of the Lagos State government's response to this, as the federal government is mooting an idea of banning religious houses and gatherings for over 50 people. There's a story from the Guardian newspaper links to this.
Which one?
That Lagos state bans religious gatherings above
Okay.
50 persons.
All right. So the state government, like you mentioned, has banned religious gatherings for the next 4 weeks with immediate effect. And the government has said that they have spoken extensively with the heads of the two popular religions, Islam and Christianity. It was very necessary for them to also reiterate that, though they understand that it's Lenten season, that, we have to take into account the probability that this might spread if not properly, put in check. But of concern to me is the fact that the headline says religious gatherings, because left to me, I'd have just thought gatherings in general, whether it's religion, whether it's come and chop small chops, whatever it is.
Whether it's clubbing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The Ogun State government have actually been proactive.
Yes.
They've done that. They've not
So
just
I
banned
feel
religious
like
gatherings.
it's headlines. In another new item on this this headline released this morning, there's another one that says categorically that it's gatherings of persons above 50. So well, let's see where that goes. But I feel like the government should also and must necessarily remind these religious institutions of their role when it comes to information dissemination.
Yes.
Because in this article, the religious bodies told the government that the government should go and do massive education. And I'm thinking, there is a
It starts
role,
with you.
there actually is a role that religious bodies play. And because we are a, in quote, religious society,
We're praying.
they are, oh jeez, they are the ones that have the, closest reach to these people, them and the local leaders in the communities. And that's why it was necessary for me asked that is information passed across in local dialects as the case may be. But I just saw something now by a reporter just a few minutes ago on Twitter, and they're saying he was in the southeast, and it's disheartening for him to realize that some nurses don't actually believe that coronavirus is real. They feel like the government is actually just doing it to make money. And
That was the initial rumor, and I had to debunk with a few people that I've spoken to personally that we can't be playing with something as serious as this. Everything is not about money. Yes, we know we have an inherent distrust for government and government policies, but we have to also be careful about what we are spreading. We have some comments. Kunia Jani from Isolo says, fresh COVID-19 cases. Now is the time to close all entry points into our dear nation and shut down schools too. This is an emergency. And then we had an earlier one from Cisco Delgado. Cisco Delgado had sent in from earlier today saying that I'm trying to look for that message. Yeah, there we go. COVID-19 is
do you mean LA like Los Angeles?
Who?
Did you say LA?
No, I said earlier. All right, so he's. I'm reading the comment again, and I'll have to skip that. I'm sorry. Then we have this one. He always says the rising number of COVID-19 cases are worrying, but we must remember that travel restrictions always exclude returning citizens. The government cannot stop Nigerians abroad from coming home. Students, tourists, patients returning for medical treatment. I agree with Funmi. It's more important to focus on preventing its spread locally.
Ugo, the price of fuel has dropped to 125 naira. It was greeted with cheer by some Nigerians, not most. Some of them said, I heard, I made sure that I sampled some opinions on the ground, and people were saying, is that the best you can do? Is it bigger than all the other presidents that are dashing money to citizens? I'm relating verbatim what I heard. But the price crash, we know it's reflective of the crude oil price slump globally. But,
I think the media organization carried it at 130, and people were like, I mean, is that all you can do? And then they clarified and that it was 125 naira per liter. You very well know that oil prices crashed below $30 yesterday. At some point, it was at $25. So it was, where Nigeria currently is at the edge of the cliff, or is that how they say it? Yeah. So you'll expect that fuel prices will follow suit immediately, as it has in most parts of the world. A lot of people were calling for removal of subsidy. I mean, like, this is the time. Like, why wait, right? there's no better time to do it. And now, in 2011 when we tried to do it, I think we probably weren't matured enough then, as Nigerians, because we really didn't understand these things. That people went against it. But now I think we know better, and we're like, look, there's no point spending all this money. I think Nigeria was earmarked to spend about 750 billion naira on fuel subsidy in 2020 alone. So if you take this out now, that's 750 billion savings for us. And if you flip it to the 2020 budget, they're saying that they're trying to cut by 1.5 trillion, isn't it? Yeah. So that is enough savings already. So people are saying, look, just take this thing out once and for all. Another school of thought things that, look, is it all filling stations or is it just
NNPC stations
alone? You're right. But if you read the government tweets, they were quite clear. They said the official price of petrol in Nigeria is now 125 naira per liter. A price modulation mechanism is being introduced, and that's the big grammar that government likes to bring into matters like this. When you hear modulation.
So how's that modulation going to translate for a filling station owner, a petrol station owner who bought his goods, his supply for at the 145? Exactly. Is there going to be a subsidy for that individual?
See, Valentine scheming anyway, so a modulation basically is whenever the prices go up, then you expect fuel prices to go up again. And then if it goes further down, you expect them to push down again. Now the difference now is that it is the government dictating the pace, right? But if it's a market environment and subsidies removed and the prices are deregulated, then filling stations can charge at whatever price. But typically they will always be within the same range, right? And then there's nobody subsidizing anyone. By the way, the subsidy in quote is actually NNPC. So NNPC has just been selling fuel at the price lower than what they buy it for. So NNPC has been the one taking the hit, not necessarily government, but that would have been money that would have accrued to the government anyway. So some filling stations haven't started yet because a lot of them are saying like, look, we bought the thing at 140 now. Why are you saying why should we reduce the prices?
It's easier for us to increase than reduce.
Yeah. So it's going to take a few days.
So does that mean that at the moment it's probably mean that it's NNPC station?
I guess NNPC stations will probably change. They have to lead the way now. So all cars lead to NNPC filling stations.
Imagine how I felt yesterday. I just bought.
Thanks. There's one really close to the office. A bit of a drive, but I would take that. I'll take that.
Thank you.
The pump price reduction, it doesn't compute with international trend. Crude has dropped by half, 50%. So the actual price should be 18 naira, 72.5 naira.
Mathematician, you gotta look at all these things.
From Lagos says Nigeria shouldn't fall for this. It's a plot to fraudulently pay themselves a subsidy. At 145 naira, the subsidy has been naturally disappeared. Therefore, there will be nothing to be used to manipulate the system to fraudulently from the treasury. It's not about people, but about themselves. Very soon, Nigerians will be told about $1 trillion of naira has been spent on subsidy.
Nee says, but really, has any fuel refined at $29 reached Nigeria? And Ian says, anybody who's not grateful for the price slash on fuel will not be grateful if you give him or her a brand new car. He or she will most likely ask you, why is it Toyota? Why not Mercedes or BMW? Give me, I'm grateful and happy. I'm going to fill my tank today. I'm much less than I used to. This is a note of advice. Please do not panic buy fuel. Do not buy fuel to store. No, do not. There's no shortage, so there's no reason why you should.
I think demand would even drop with this, staying indoors. I think you're seeing a lot of people won't go out that often.
Right.
All right. Okay, let's move on to this benchmark that was talked about, referred to in one of the comments earlier on. This headline talks about that from Nigeria cuts oil benchmark to $30, slashes capital budget by 20%. So yesterday they announced some significant changes to its 2020 budget as measures to contain the effect of the outbreak of coronavirus on the nation's FEC meeting, and a number of people were waiting for the outcomes because they knew that it will be made after this meeting. And one of such is that, as they said, they reviewed the impact of the benchmark of the oil price and the benchmark as with the budget. But we have this story to take us Adenike, please take us through story.
No, it's actually.
Oh, it's Funmi. Oh, sorry. Funmi, please go. Can you take us through the
Okay,
story?
so because Nigeria did not take seriously the various advice to have side hustle, and our main source of income is still petrol. We now have this crude oil. Sorry, we now have this situation. The reduction of the price means that with from $57, which we had used as our benchmark to determine how much revenue we would generate as a nation, when that has now been reduced by almost 45% to $30, and as Ugo said, also still dropping, means that we have to go back and redo our maths. So at the FEC meeting yesterday, a number of figures have been cut down. So according to the new realities that we face, we have adjusted the revenue we would get from petrol. We have also adjusted the revenue that we expect to get from customs, because we anticipate that trade volumes will reduce, and that would also affect the revenue that we expect to get from customs. And so because of that, there's been, we've also reduced the projected revenue that we expect to get from privatization proceeds, again because of the slow economic activities that we expect during this coronavirus period. Now, having said that we expect lower revenue, the next thing is, if we're expecting lesser money to come in, we also have to adjust our expenditure.
True.
What we have said that we will spend. Now, on expenditure, the president has approved that we should cut down on capital expenditure by 20% across the ministries, departments, and agencies, and 25% by government-owned enterprises. What I was actually waiting to see is how much recurrent. I mean, we've always had this
very much
about government spending and how much we're spending as overheads. Now that money has come in lesser than we are projecting that money will come in lesser than we had expected. Again, the first thing to go in our expenditure is the capital expenditure, and that means that our overhead we still will be it. So, and bear in mind that assuming we had even gotten the revenue that we expected, the budget performance with respect to capital expenditure is not near, well, if I'm being optimistic, it wasn't even near 80% or 70%. So in a situation like this, it almost feels like we should not expect any capital projects.
Now let's talk about revenue and recurrent expenditure. I was hoping, or is it too ambitious for us to hope that in light of this, some of our senior citizens, when I say senior, I mean in terms of position, will take a pay cut in respect of the fact that we're not earning enough as we should? Why should the first thing that should be considered be the capital expenditure? What would benefit the people of Nigeria? We've complained a lot about overhead expenses. Why is this not the first thing to get the cut? Why is it?
You know, one thing that happens to Nigeria a lot is we never learn. And so when we had the first global crisis with respect to crude, and the whole story about diversification came about, we were not serious about it. This is second reality check. Like, this is what happens to you when this happens. All the solutions are on paper, like we've said it. Diversification, cut government spending. The challenge we have is that it remains on paper. And so it's again, like Ugo has said, another time to get serious about removing subsidy. But it's whether we would, so this is a crisis, it's whether we as a nation would learn from what we should from this crisis and take the hard decision. At this stage, not so hard anymore. That their decisions are not so hard to take anymore. But it's whether we'll do the right thing.
Have overheads grossing over 40% of the budget.
Thank you.
Should be no brainer. Thank you. Let's take messages. Henry says, good morning. I'm still appealing to the federal government as a matter of urgent national importance. Close all entry points in Nigeria in order to save the lives of our citizens. Prevention is better than cure, he said. Emeka says, I just drove past the JAB Examination Center. There's a crowd, and I'm sure there are more than 50.
So, Yinka says, so Babina tweeted yesterday of someone that will be going from the UK to Dubai to get into Nigeria because flights from the UK to Nigeria has been suspended. That's how selfish Nigerians can be, because there's a strange notion that coronavirus disappears once you get to Nigeria. Even those with the virus might not talk or speak the truth when he has set in. So please let everyone stay where they are for the time being, says Yinka.
Ifeanyi from Eva says, Ifeanyi Equalita, that is, the reduction in the pump price of petroleum products is a great one and a demonstration of responsibility on the part of the government to the people. Are markets going to be shut? Because that's where there'll be more bodily contacts.
That's true.
Sister, you're my color. Sister, come to the show, those kind of things. All right, let's move on to more stories. This time around, reflecting the travel ban that was the decision after the committee sat, and that's the committee that was set up by the federal government to oversee decisions that could be made. Well, they made their decision and they put a travel ban on 13 countries, suspended visas on arrival, visas issued to foreign nationals, and also for Nigerians who are returning back into the country, putting them on 14-day compulsory quarantine. What's your take on this one?
So good, better late than never. Like I said, at this point, prevention is a whole lot better than cure.
Yes.
I think people need to understand that the major, like I said earlier, the major danger about this disease is its spread and how contagious it is. And so this is not about shutting people out. I mean, it's about let's deal with this pandemic. Let's stop the spread, and then let's deal and cut with it. So, and then the comment I read out about the person that wants to fly, is very, very scary. It's things like, I don't know if it's that we don't understand the rationale behind border closures. The rationale is actually everybody around the world is just trying to curb the spread of the disease, and that is not a permanent. Some countries do 2 weeks and then we'll review.
Yes.
1 month and then we'll review. Understand the rationale behind it. It is, we are trying to curb the spread. The spread is what would actually be very, very dangerous. So it's stay where you are.
Gotcha, for me. Let's go.
Sorry, it's worthy of note that the countries that are involved are United Kingdom, United States of America, China, Japan, Iran, Switzerland, Norway, Netherlands, France, South Korea, Germany, Italy, and Spain.
Thank you very much.
Nigeria is not closing borders.
You know, and it was
European countries.
When I saw it on CNN, yes, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we had for the first time. It took a long time for us to get here, but we also have done this, you know, at least a week back. But let's talk about government intervention. The government is waking up to this issue, and we are looking at the government pumping 1.1 trillion, or CBN, and 1 billion naira
Free
intervention
money.
fund. A number of countries have come out to state their position as to how they're going to support or intervene with regards to coronavirus, particularly its economic impact. But the Nigerian government has come out to say that they're putting or committing this amount of money. Ugo, I'd like to ask you, is this sufficient?
Is it free money?
How will this work out? How does this impact the common man in Nigeria? And also for businesses?
So it's not free money, and it's not like in the US where they are giving people $1,000.
You mean it?
Yeah, it's the US. The
You're
plan
not
is to
gonna give
send
us money.
$1,000 checks to Americans. So this is not the same thing. So this is the CBN saying that it was going to put forward another 1.1 trillion intervention fund. So intervention funds is basically loans that to banks, for banks to on-lend to businesses. And the CBN was specific here. They said this is going to the local manufacturing sector to boost import substitution. So it's not just any kind of manufacturing sector. So it's just for sectors that they want Nigerians to produce more, so that we don't import a lot of those items. So that's where they want to push this money to. They're hoping that this will perhaps help create jobs, and then help also mitigate the supply chain issues that the coronavirus creates. You know that I think there was a story I heard that there were a lot of people in Alaba, who were complaining that a lot of their goods were stuck in China. So that was affecting, the supply value chains in Nigeria. So how do you make up for, imports that can come in here? Then you have to help your local manufacturing sector, to boost production, and you can only do that if they have funds. I guess that's what the CBN is trying to do here, and a lot of the money is also going to the health sector as well. But these loans are also going to come at concessionary rates. they already slashed from 9% to 5%. So, Valentine, maybe this is time you start to go into farming or go into production, and then so you can you apply for loans like this, or go into healthcare, maybe pharmacies or things like that, test centers.
Yes, but how easy is it for me as an individual to access this loan?
So the CBN loans are, I don't think they're that difficult. It's really up to you. It depends on the kind of due diligence that you do, and then if you have very good, financial records, solid operations that people can actually, that's transparent and people can check and access, then you just go to your bank and then apply for those loans and then you get it. So it's not that difficult. It's not only for big men. A lot of these big guys know how to get these loans and they are the ones who usually get their hands on it. So, but for a lot of the locals, I think it's time that you people start to access, deals like this. But the only thing is that the CBN did not clearly state out from all the articles I've seen on this. I haven't really seen steps like how do you actually get this loan, right? How long will it take? Is it immediate, or is it all banks, or are there select banks that you can apply to, and then what's the tenor, and then what are these local import substitute sectors?
How about criteria for who can
exactly
would they spell it out as well?
So usually this information is trickled down from the banks themselves, because when they had that CFA loan, the creative loan to the creative industry, a lot of the detail was broken down by individual banks. So I'm thinking maybe
that's what
yes, but precisely 100 billion was set out for health. To support health authorities, to ensure laboratories, researchers, innovators work with global scientists to prevent and produce vaccines and test kits in Nigeria, not just for coronavirus.
It's a big sector. I think a health sector is one sector that you should watch next year.
Sure.
Thank you for that one, Ugo. Odupe Sanda on YouTube says US is sending out more money, UK is giving out billions, Nigeria has set apart intervention funds. COVID-19 is actually bringing out the general sides of world government. And Cruz says, good morning, people.
Is more
humane, yes. Cruz says, good morning, people. What about offices with more than 50 people? Have you seen people waiting for lifts at the Nigerian Stock Exchange building? Asks a very important, a good question. So all weddings, funerals, and birthdays should be postponed or cancelled. Would you recommend that?
That NSC message was very apt, because yesterday I read an article that the United States is attempting to test something they've never tried in 50 years, electronic trading on the electronic platforms. They've always traded on the floor, so they've even tested alternatives in case there's a major pandemic like this. They should definitely.
There are many places we have to look at. NSA courts, markets,
All right, thank you so much. Final story here. We need to touch on this. Adenike, Lassa fever claims 16 lives in Bauchi. This came out with regards to the focus on coronavirus, particularly from the Nigerian government and the response, perhaps spurred on by the international response. But we have a prevailing case in Nigeria that hasn't received such attention despite the number of deaths. Please take us to the story, Adenike.
Okay, so the Bauchi State Surveillance Support Officer, Dr. Suleiman Lawal, was the one that disclosed the number of people who had died from the Lassa fever disease in the state. And he clearly stated that in 2020, since January that is, there have been 43 confirmed cases in the state. He said that there are 3 people that have died of probable cases, and they're probable because they couldn't get their samples before they died. And in my head, I'm thinking, sorry, is it that they can't get the samples after death? There should be a way. There is a way. We watch CIS, we watch all these shows, we watch. Wait, see me saying CIS, CSI. We watch Hawaii 5-0. We watch Grey's Anatomy. So, what do you want to say?
Because you touched a very raw nerve. I was thinking, how fast did it take us to get genetic sequences and the genome sequence to send to WHO? And then last time one has been here. It's
for such a long,
out of 36 states in Nigeria.
So does this mean that except something becomes an international,
stating that there are no spiritual undertones? Not that, because he said that a lot of people, until they get the information, they now say, oh, so it wasn't actually my grandfather's village that was doing so.
All right, thank you so much, Adenike.
National Emergency Center has been set up by the NCDC. They've been watching this.
Adenike Oyetunde on Twitter, Funmi Odude on Twitter, Ugodre on Twitter. Thank you so much. Lagos, we'll go on a break at 8:15. We'll be back for Grapevine 981. Thank you very much.
Access to loans from Page Financials.
I know everyone is
Page Financials, taking you further.
Hey, that wow.
In Agungi.
Agungi, yes.
Agungi.
What happened?
A traveler from you.
My wife sees this one like this. Everybody is shut down. She's so paranoid with this guy. Hey, God.
If you're a germaphobe, forget it. Your husband